our panel discussion titled Startup Insights, a perspective from investors. And I'm sure that this session will provide opportunities for Viet Challenge startups as well as other young entrepreneurs to meet, learn, and cultivate valuable feedback and experience from our major investors, and to acquire more skills needed in company founding through sharing real-life experiences from founders and investors. So with that, please join us in welcoming our 4 panelists to our stage today. First, Ms. Ando, principal of Patamar Capital, an early-stage venture capital firm investing in companies serving the mass market in South and Southeast Asia. Prior to joining Patamar Capital, Ms. Do was a vice president at DWS Alternative, a leading global investment manager specializing in private equity and real assets. Ms. Do is also a long-term mentor for SEO Vietnam and the Lương Văn Can Scholarship Fund, 2 nonprofit organizations that are set up to support and develop leadership capacity for young professionals in Vietnam.
We also have Mr. Gavin Teo, General Partner at Altera Ventures, a venture capital partner dedicated to Southeast Asian founders. He was previously a general partner at B Capital Group, a global venture growth fund where he led the investment committee and managed investments in digital health and consumer internet. Earlier in his career, Mr. Teo was an investor at Comcast Ventures, a product manager at Zynga, and a management consultant at Bain & Company. Gavin earned his MBA from the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, where he graduated as a Palmer Scholar and holds a BA in economics from Claremont McKenna College.
And next, we also have Mr. Olivier Rawson, co-founder and managing partner of Phoebe Ventures. It's an early-stage venture capital fund supporting outstanding entrepreneurs in Vietnam and Southeast Asia. Previously, Olivier was a general partner at Project A Ventures. He also held executive roles at Google, YouTube, Microsoft, and Yahoo. Olivier was also a tech entrepreneur in Europe and received a master's degree from Audencia Business School.
And last but not least, we have Ms. Vi Le, co-founder and general partner at Do Ventures, a premier early-stage venture capital firm that focuses on making venture capital investment in information technology companies in Vietnam and Southeast Asia. She is an innovative serial entrepreneur with extensive experience in operations and keen insights into the Vietnam market. In 2010, Ms. V founded Chon.vn and served as CEO, developing the platform into one of the most popular online fashion shopping centers in Vietnam. In 2014, she exited Chon.vn to Vingroup, the largest private conglomerate in Vietnam. She then served as the CEO of Vingroup's e-commerce subsidiary, Adaroy.com, and successfully scaled the company from scratch to reach a few $100 million USD in revenue. Awesome. Welcome all the panelists.
Thank you so much for joining with us today. So to begin, I would love to ask first, I have a question to throw it out to all of you, and then we can dive in to get to know more about your specific investment strategies and everything with regards to your specific firm as well, just to get the audience to know a variety of different investing practices. But I think it would be a filler for Viet Challenge if we had gone without kind of exploring more about the investing landscape in light of the year that we're in right now, 2020. So with that, I would love to ask everyone to just get your perspectives on how your investment practice has changed in the past year, whether you look at investing differently, whether you are currently investing in different industries than you used to before, or whether you're targeting an earlier stage startups or more startups that have more tractions or things like that, or so all of those things about investing in the age of 2020. I would love to hear from you all.
Great. Well, thank you very much, guys, for hosting. And it's a real pleasure to be on this panel to learn from everyone here. So a special shout out to Stephen and Jean and Jensen, you and Sabrina for really helping to organize and move us through really great agenda today. And also hello to Vi and to Anne and to Olivier. Good to see you guys. So just by brief summary in terms of where we focus at Altara Ventures, we really look at early stage opportunities across Southeast Asia, where Vietnam is a critical market for all the reasons around demographic shifts, digitization, the growth of large consumer markets, and increasingly business verticals that are ripe for technology to continue to transform and enhance existing ways of doing business. We really see the opportunity across the region as falling within 6 broad categories. I think the first 3 are generally recognized, I think, as kind of the recent wave of Southeast Asia technology integration into e-commerce, logistics, and financial services. So I think those 3 tend to converge and seem to be quite prevalent across all of ASEAN as well as in Vietnam. But then also increasingly, we're seeing activity at the early stage in companies that are trying to solve new issues and challenges with technology in areas like healthcare and education technology, and also in business software. And so as I look at some of the startups today that we had the privilege of hearing from, the range is very broad, from alternative food and consumer electronics through to education and even enterprise software for the hospitality space. So I think this is a really great sign that there's tremendous innovation and excitement. As a fund, we tend to invest at the Series A stage. So for that definition, we tend to think of $2.5 to $3 million US entry equity checks, pricing and leading 5 to 8 million Series A rounds, where we'd love to invest alongside other great investors and teams that have a local sourcing capability and relationships on the ground in Vietnam. So it's a real pleasure to be here and to share more ideas around how we can all help each other as we build this ecosystem in technology.
Thank you. And we would like to hear more from Ms. Vy Lê. Can you share a little bit?
Hi, thank you, the Challenge team, for organizing such a wonderful event today, and I'm glad to be here. Just echo what Gavin just shared with you. So I think one of the biggest advantage of the Vietnam market is our demographics. So for us, for the long-term strategy, it remains unchanged. So DoVenture is a 50 million early stage investment firm. We focus on investing in company at seed to Series B. So basically, we put in our seed money, 500,000, and we love to follow up. We love to do follow-on investment into a company up to Series B. And our focus actually in the 2 groups of companies. So Group 1, we want to invest in consumer tech company in sectors like Gavin just mentioned, in healthcare, in education, company that leverage technology to enhance the lives of consumer, especially the young consumer nowadays. And in the second group, we actually focus on enterprise software and enabling software that can bridge the gap between e-commerce player or e-commerce merchant or fintech merchants and the consumer. So that would be our focus, and it would remain unchanged. Although after COVID, we think consumer behavior in Vietnam will fundamentally be changed. Obviously we will look deeper into sectors that can benefit after COVID, like online media or enterprise solution, or even education and healthcare.
Thank you, Ms. Vy, for sharing. How about Ms. Ando? Can you please share a little bit? Sorry, I think you are on mute. We cannot really hear you.
Hello, is it better now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay, sounds great. First of all, thank you, the organizing team, for the opportunity to be on this panel and to learn from everyone. Just as a reminder, the Pertama Capital, we are an impact venture capital fund, which means in addition to being a traditional venture capital fund, an important pillar of our investment criteria is to improve the economic livelihood of the communities we serve. And our ideal portfolio companies should either serve the low to middle income consumers or the small and medium enterprises in Southeast Asia. What happened is throughout the entire COVID pandemic situation, I think our 2 targeted customer group segments have been extremely exposed, and there have been significantly a story surrounding our investment thesis to focus on the underserved and the unserved segments of these customers. In terms of sector focus, we are looking for financial inclusion, consumer-focused businesses, and we're quite interested in tech-enabled distribution platforms, in niche e-commerce, logistics, fintech, and health tech. So one example of this is actually we still make investment and actively looking for investment throughout the entire COVID period. Last month, we just led and closed successfully a Series A round in micro, small and medium enterprise lending businesses called Kim An in Vietnam. This is our first investment from our second fund, and it shows that these segments have been extremely exposed, the MSME segment in the Vietnamese economy. And Kim An has provided a financing gap between financing institutions as well as these companies.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Amazing.
Thank you for sharing your insights. I want to follow up with you on that note as well, Miss Ando, and kind of get to know your thoughts a little bit more on what you just mentioned. So I think given the Vietnamese market and in the context of everything that's happening, what advice do you have? So how do you think emerging Viet startups can make a disruption in the industries right now? Of course, there are so many things that are new, but what advice would you have?
I think generally, first of all, we're very excited about the large market size and the enthusiasm of the entrepreneurs we've got to meet in Vietnam. And from a macroeconomic perspective, Vietnamese economy has been one of the most resilient throughout the entire global COVID situation. And we're underpinned by a large population, young population driving growth. Researchers estimate that by 2035, 50% of Vietnamese population will enter the middle income class category. That is a very positive sign, which means there will be booms in consumer spending to come in the next decade or so. We have 70% smartphone penetration, extremely high internet penetration rate, but still 85% of our transactions are cash-based, and 97% of all the enterprises in the country are MSMEs. That means there's so many potential areas, so many segments that have not been served adequately to be touched on. So generally, we have been in the market for 8 years, and we have seen the entire Vietnamese startup ecosystem evolved and mature significantly over the past couple of years. There are existing problems and key pain points that we think still exist. For example, lack of credit to the MSMEs, the cashless payment system, which have not been in place, the fintech infrastructure development still can grow and scale significantly, the high logistic costs, which pretty much really underpin the entire high cost of living in the country. There's still agricultural efficiency. These are a few problems and that I've just named here, and we continually to meet visionary founders who are keen on tackling these problems, and we're inspired by their stories every day.
Thank you, Ms. Ando. And I would also like to hear from Mr. Olivier. Mr. Olivier from Phoebe Ventures. After learning about some of the advice and room for entering the market, I would love to hear your perspective on how firms like yours decide where to invest. Can you please share a little bit?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me, and congratulations to organizer, founders, entrepreneurs, and all the ecosystem builder supporting the challenge. So Phoebe, just in a few words, $25 million fund. We do seed investment, mainly Vietnam and other countries in Southeast Asia. Category agnostic. Having said that, we like pretty much education, logistics, fintech, and health tech. We've done 7 deals this year, 3 with Sequoia Capital, 1 with SoftBank, and 2 with one of the New York City fund called FG Labs. We're pretty excited by the economy here. I was looking at the numbers in year to date, with already more than 2.2% growth, and the government expected to grow at 3%. The wholesale and retail is plus 5% already in year to date. Same for construction, export and manufacture is also 5%. Construction is also 5%. Employment at 2.2%. Registered capital this year in year to date is plus 15. So a lot of positive, let's say, macro numbers. And when we look at also the optimism of the company in Vietnam, I was reading a survey last week where 45% of the company are pretty optimistic for this year, like 10% are 35% are flat and 10% are only pessimistic. So definitely Vietnam is in a pretty good situation for several reasons. I believe that they manage pretty well the COVID situation. The political system is pretty stable. They definitely have a long-term vision, and they can planify in midterm. So pretty good, and also the quality of the political system and the political people is pretty interesting compared to other emerging markets. And at the end of the day, the citizens themselves, I mean, always, when you look at the education and the Confucius culture, when you look at the gender balance in the business, when you look at how people are hard worker and have the kind of grit, a lot of scientists and data-driven people, and obviously young and large population. So you have several ingredients from the political standpoint and from the citizen standpoint to have a great year, especially from 2021.
Thank you so much for sharing your perspectives. I think that's really important. I think one of the things that we've talked about kind of where firms can enter, and then from the perspective of the investors as well. But I think one of the questions that I do have, and I think the other kind of startups would love to hear more from your perspectives, and I would like to direct this question to Ms. Ville. Ms. Ville, is we kind of forgot about we didn't forget, but we have not talked about this other kind of player as well, with the government, and would love to get your thoughts on what you think about the current structures for financial support policies that Vietnam has for startups.
So honestly, I think our government has done a wonderful job in terms of improving the legal infrastructure for startups and for foreign investors to come in and invest in Vietnam. Although we still face many challenges because most of the foreign funds, when they enter Vietnam, they need to technically register the capital with the government, and the startups still need to wait for the government to approve the funding before they can receive the money. But basically, I think the overall framework has improved a lot, especially in terms of tax incentives and in terms of regulation support for unregulated industry in the past few years. For example, in the past few years, foreign investor didn't really understand the legal the regulation framework in some industry like sharing economy. So last year, the government actually put up regulation for that sector. So I think moving forward, a couple of things that can really enhance the capability of foreign investor when coming to Vietnam. Number one is if government can really issue regulations for some of the unregulated industry like medtech or fintech, that would really help the foreign investor. And secondly, if government can look into how foreign investor can quickly disperse the money into startups in Vietnam, that would definitely help.